Welcome to Inner Power Particles. I'm Farhad, the host of the podcast. We talk with entrepreneurs and leaders about how they have solved the challenges in their life or business and how it has transformed into new inner strengths in them. And with this, we want to help that you also can look at your life or business situations and see how you can solve the challenges in them and through that transform them also into new inner strengths, inner power particles in you. Enjoy the show. Hello, Henri, and thank you for finding time for this interview.
Hello, and thanks, Farhad.
And I want to start with a simple question to ground us. Can you share with us what you do today?
I'm the CEO of Jobilla. The company has now been growing pretty fast. We are focusing on recruitment space, helping companies to find the right talent using social media advertising.
You are CEO and you are also co-founder, right?
Yes.
And can you share a bit about how you became CEO and co-founder in Jobilla?
Yes, this is actually an interesting story. I was not in the very first day when the company was founded. I was not part of the team. But on the very, very early days of Jobilla, when it was still finding the concepts, Tommy, actually, my good friend, we had run actually our first business together when we were 20-year-old. We happened to go to play tennis together. And I had just jumped out from my previous company, or I was jumping out. I had still like few projects going on for that, but I was already in the stage of exiting that company. And then during that time, I had made my own business plan about recruitment company. My vision was perfect matching between candidates and companies because I had found so many challenges in my previous business, how there was so much friction in this. And then I noticed that when I discussed with Tommy and they had just started Jobilla, how similarly we thought about the vision, what we would want to achieve, what Tommy and that time Mikael, his original co-founder, what they had been planning on for Jobilla and what I had been planning for my not yet founded company. And then at that time, I actually decided to come to first see and how they operated, and I got excited of the way Tommy and Mikael worked and what was their passion in the company, and also I think it was so in line for what I wanted to do. So we decided to join forces. But actually, that time, Jobilla was building completely different solution than what we are doing today. So after that we have pivoted a couple of times to different business concepts. So basically, the company has been like reorganized and refunded basically after that, and also the other original co-founder Mikael left the company, and me and Tommy are the ones left.
How many years have passed since you joined?
Now it has been, is it 7 or 8 years? Yeah.
Wow, it's quite a long period already.
Yes.
Many founders are hoping to get out with a good exit after 3 to 5 years. How do you feel after this?
Yeah, I think this is for many people. I actually was thinking before I understood anything about startup world that you can do basically exit in 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
But then when I really realized, or when we found out how much struggle it is actually to build something that works and then start scaling it, I think actually building a successful startup from scratch to the point where it's actually a valuable company and you're able to exit it in 5 years, I think in most cases it's really optimistic. Probably there is some companies that have been achieving that. Especially I know that people with previous background show that they have, for example, one exit already behind them. Then you can maybe do it in even 3 years or 2 years. But if it's your first company, especially in a digital space, I would prepare mentally at least that the journey is going to be taking probably closer to 10 years than 5 years. And I think also something that if in the beginning of the company, exit is the target, that you want to start the company so that you can get out from the company. I think it's a pretty bad place to be, actually. I have also had moments in this journey where I have noticed that having some sort of successful exit have been, for me, one of the core drivers. But actually, I have noticed that at those times we have been performing in our worst.
Mm-hmm.
But when the driver is something else than exiting the company, when the driver is actually making the company as great as you can, and actually also, I think this is something that changes your view, because if you want to make the company great company, where you also feel good, you don't, suddenly the vision for the exit starts to a little bit like fade away. It's the same thing that if you would get married to get divorced, that's a pretty bad place to get started from it.
Yeah. So you're saying that what's important is that you build sellable company, but you build it so that you almost as if don't want to sell it.
Exactly. And this is actually something that we are right now doing, that we are creating this kind of vision for the company, a very concrete one. We are, of course, we have vision that we want to solve, but we are also building this more concrete vision of what Jobilla needs to look like in order for us to be a very valuable company. It doesn't mean that we need to sell it, but we want all the pieces be there so that it doesn't matter if we sell, if we list it on the stock market, or if we want to stay private. But anyway, the company as it is valuable, because I think at the end of the day, you want to create something that creates a lot of value and is done correctly as a company should be done. And in that case, it is also a valuable company. If your company doesn't have any value, so then something has been done wrongly.
Yeah. So you joined the team when there was already a team and the company, but you are the CEO.
Yeah.
How and why this happened?
Actually, when I joined the team, the company was basically full of energy, but very little structure, like very, very, very little structure. And there was also a lot of different projects going on. There was not even a clear focus what we were going to be doing. Actually, Jobilla was just one of the projects that we were doing. We had a lot of different things that we were doing for different kind of customers. Mm-hmm. And then when I joined the business, I started questioning this. Like, shouldn't we pick something that we actually want to focus on? And because I think for such a small company, you cannot solve all the problems in the world. No. You need to pick something, because solving even one problem very well, it's super difficult. If you want to solve 5 problems at the same time, you gotta be really genius and really, really, really like experienced in this. So I started to put more focus like that. And then I think I'm also like, we have done this analysis with you also, and predictive index. Yes, exactly. And I think I'm also quite in this line driving profile, but more balanced. For example, if you look at the objective and subjective decision making, I'm quite in the middle of there. So I think it just started to flow naturally in this direction. I didn't put my hand up and say that I want to be the CEO. I was actually executing a lot of tasks that CEOs should be executing, because I just noticed that things need to be done, and they were not executed at the time. And I'm also this kind of person that if I see a challenge that needs to be solved, I go and solve it. I don't just leave it there. Yeah. And then I think it was more like a natural transition that at some point I started realizing that actually not being the CEO started to become a roadblock for me to fix things in the company. Because sometimes you need a mandate. Sometimes it's that you need to be able to write your name in the document, or sometimes you need to be able to say the last word in a meeting or something like that. And because I didn't have that, sometimes it became a roadblock for not getting things done. And then actually at one point I remember when I just raised my hand up in one meeting and said that, hey, I think maybe the most logical choice would be that I would be the CEO, and everybody else were like, yeah, actually sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. Yeah. So that wasn't like a hard negotiation or anything, or it wasn't something that I was pushing myself into it. Actually, one of the very, very first things when I joined the company was that I can play any other role in the company, but I will never be the CEO. That was what I said in the beginning. I actually never wanted to be a CEO. I wasn't CEO in my previous company. Yeah. My business partner was the CEO, and I was actually super happy about that structure. And I have actually no ambition of being a CEO. I have ambition of being a good entrepreneur. But I've noticed also that now, at least for now, when I've been playing the CEO role for quite a while, it has actually taught me a lot about how to be a better entrepreneur. Because in this position, you actually learn the business much more than in I don't think in any other role. You don't have this kind of view and responsibility at the same time.
Speaking of learnings and more about learnings about yourself, you today and you, let's say, 8 years ago, how you lead things.
Yes.
What has changed?
Actually, this is a very interesting question, because in my previous business, my business partner was very structured. He was very like detail oriented, but also like very social person. So actually, his nickname to me was an artist.
Okay.
So I was more like the creative one, the one that was innovating ideas and pushing new things forward and things like that. And okay, I'm still doing that. But I think what has changed a lot is that I've become a lot more like him. I'm now much more structured. I'm much more precise. I'm much more clear in communication, because it's not because it comes very naturally from me. Okay, it's not super unnatural for me either, but my very most natural way of being is maybe this a little bit more artistic and flexible kind of person.
Yeah.
But I've just noticed that if I want to perform in this role, I need to be more precise. I need to be more detail oriented. I need to be more clear in my words. And also something that has changed a lot is confidence. At the very early days when I was CEO, I noticed that it was a little bit challenging for me to take this role as a CEO, which means that you're basically the highest authority of decision making in the company. And my natural way of thinking things is more like I would want things to be very equal and also make decisions that everybody like and things like that. But now I've noticed that that's not very efficient way of leading company or any project. You of course want to include people in the decision making, but then there needs to be an authority also in the company to make things efficient. That is something that I've learned also to be a little bit more authoritative.
This is a very valuable topic. So how we make decisions in the leadership team.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that in early years you were more looking for consensus type of decisions, and today it's different. Can you walk through like how do you approach decision making today?
Yeah, actually, still I'm at the very first place. I'm looking for consensus. That's the thing. Like I think it's better if people naturally agree on something. That is, and because if everybody are agreeing that this is a good thing, then you don't need to sell to anybody like, okay, but we anyway need to go to that direction. So it's not a bad way to do a decision. But when there are situations where there are, for example, two good options, and then you just need to choose, and somebody might think that the other option is still good, and others think then somebody needs to cut the conversation. Okay, we do this, and previously it was more about if the majority of the people think that this is a good option, then it's a good option. But now I think that you need to trust your instincts and you need to trust your own vision for the company. And for example, where we are going to take this company, it needs to come, basically the vision needs to come from the CEO that we want to go to that direction. And this is something that I also noticed previously, that I didn't have the confidence to say that, hey, this ship is sailing to that direction. Do you want to be in this ship or do you want to go to some other ship? But this is but if it's like the ship is here and we start agreeing, hey, which one of you want to go to that direction? Yes. How many of you want to go to that direction? What we want to do? So that's not going to be a very efficient company, in my opinion. Yeah.
I just want to highlight what you just said, that the vision needs to come from the CEO. I would even paraphrase it. The one who has the vision is the CEO.
Yes.
So, but to be able to do this way, you really need to have a self-belief that I believe that what I do will prevail.
Yeah.
How do you build it up?
I think that's a good question. And I think it comes from being really like this goes to a little bit more like deeper topics. I think it's not just about believing in your cause or believing in your vision. it's also about solving these inner challenges that we have. Like I think every single human being has these challenges from the childhood and have these like even traumas and things like that. Take our self-confidence down, and it make those kind of past traumas can actually make you not believe in your vision, even though, or at least not be able to have the courage to execute it, even though the vision itself would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I think for me, a very big thing in this of becoming more confident in my vision also is not, it has actually nothing to do about the vision, but it has more about me believing more in myself and my gut feeling, and also being more aligned with myself.
So in order to be a good CEO, one needs to have a vision, but in order to have a vision, one needs to believe in oneself and have a good connection with the gut feeling.
Yeah.
And
Or you can have this vision, but in order to be able to have the courage to actually execute it is something that you act, because I think it's very often you start doubting yourself.
Yeah.
And this kind of thing. And it very often it has nothing to have with the vision, that your vision wouldn't be good. It's more about not trusting yourself.
But when we start to doubt ourselves, this is also when some outside signals are confronting what we believe.
Yes.
So how do you find this balance between my vision, my gut feel, this is how it should be, and then the, let's call it early market signals or outside reality signals push you to that, no, this is not going to happen like this.
Yeah.
So when is the right time to give up and change, and when is the time to persevere through?
Yeah, I think this is something that I don't remember what book it was, but there was this concept of game of chess. And when you play game of chess, for example, I'm not a very good player in it, by the way, but know the basics. But if you think about the really big masters in the world, they have been studying different concepts and different strategies of the chess game, like tens and tens and tens and tens of years. But at the end of the day, at some point, you can basically just trust your instincts when there is this move that you need to make, you just have the gut feeling. And it has this, I think the more you have experience and the more you have self-confidence in you, the more you can actually start trusting your instinct. It's something that it's not very logical thing to think about this way, but this is something that I have also like noticed that when we are, and business is a very, very broad world. It has a lot more concepts than chessboard. And this is something that I try to be very aware of, the things in business that I am very experienced in, and then things in business where I still don't have so much experience and knowledge about. And when we are in a field of business where I think that I know already quite much of the data and I have a lot of practical information, then I just try to listen to myself and have a gut feeling that, hey, what should I do? And then I very often just go with the gut feeling. Okay, but I also use this in much more abstract methods. For example, if I have a challenging situation with some of the people in the organization, I just try to have a gut feeling, okay, what would be the right way to start solving this? Mm-hmm. So I try not to put too much logic in it, but I just like, okay, what is my feeling, how I should approach this? And then I just follow the intuition. Okay, let's approach it this way. And very often the feeling decisions actually work a lot better than the logically better.
You mentioned intuition and feeling also here in one sentence. And a few minutes before, you also mentioned this in correlation with the childhood experiences and also some harder experiences. What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate a bit?
Yeah, that's a good question because, okay, I have started this inner work with myself years before I joined Jobilla. And if I look at the past years, I have gone a lot forward of where I was when I joined Jobilla. So I think the inner work and these traumatizing experiences from your childhood and also your challenges with yourself, they are something that if building a business needs time, that needs time also. So I think this is something that people should give themselves a lot of time and mercy when you're solving those challenges, because getting to the start is actually, it's really hard and it's really painful to start digging the like painful wounds from the past. And at first it feels like just you open this box of Pandora,
Gets
and
worse.
then it just gets worse, and there's just stuff comes out, and you have this feeling that, hey, this is never gonna end, and there is just like, the more I dig, the worse I'm feeling. But then suddenly there comes this point where it starts to progress from there, and actually the challenging moments also, when you dig those emotions, they're actually really valuable. They give you strength in the journey also. And then something that I've noticed, that I've became so much better in understanding emotions, for example. So understanding my emotions and feelings. This is a big realization. I think this year has been a big breakthrough for me in this topic, is that they are a system as any other system, basically. Your
Yes.
feeling and emotion system are just, they are in your body for a reason.
Yes.
And there is no good feelings and bad feelings. There is a system that has built into you for certain purpose. And nowadays, I have started to use this kind of method that if I have, for example, a negative emotion about something, then I start to look at it in this kind of objective way. Like, what is my emotional system trying to tell me?
Mm-hmm.
What is now happening inside me? So I'm not going in this kind of like adding negative emotion on top of negative emotion cycle, where I previously was, that I was feeling a little bit bad, and then I was feeling bad about feeling bad. but now going into this kind of more objective way, okay, hey, I have this feeling, something is now irritating me, or something is triggering me, something makes me sad, something makes me angry, something makes me a little bit afraid or something. And then I try to look at, okay, what is happening right now? What is going on? Why this thing actually triggers me so much? And then it opens doors.
So what you are saying is that self-development, which all founders need, is not only reading books, but it's also understanding yourself better.
Yes.
But to understand yourself better, you also need to open the closets.
Yes,
from the
exactly.
early past.
Yeah. And I have actually also changed the approach a little bit, because previously I was doing self-development in order to be better as a CEO, or better in my work, or better in this. But now I have actually changed it in the other way around, that I'm a CEO in order to have access to more intense self-development work. So basically, actually, I think that this whole reason why I am here as a CEO of this company is actually because it's the best path for me to grow as a human being right now.
This is a very interesting perspective.
Yeah.
So it's as if to say that the business is for you to support your growth,
Yes.
self-development, self-discovery.
Yes. And also, I think the best way to grow yourself is also to add value to other human beings. And I think business is also a great platform. This is something that I've also started to realize, that because in this kind of business that we do, scalable services, there is this viral effect, or this kind of effect, that you can actually have much more impact to the world than just sitting in your room and doing self-development and meditation practice, even though that could actually open another set of doors. Not to say like which one is more important, but I think it's also inspiring that you can see also the value that you can create to other human beings. And I think also, if we think about Jobilla's brand, which is potential fulfilled, you cannot directly link it actually to recruiting. Okay, you can add, when we explain it, it's also fits perfectly into space of recruitment, but it has a lot of deeper meanings, which means that we are here to fulfill our own maximum potential, to grow as human beings, and also make this kind of platform for everybody who's working with us, or is our customers, or otherwise linked into this company. So we want to increase people's potential.
You are now touching the subject of also companies and founders' purpose.
Yeah.
But before we go into it, just to conclude the previous topic, so in terms of self-development and getting to know yourself better and grow, what has worked for you? So what would you recommend? Is this some books or some methods or?
Yeah. Okay, one thing that I need to recommend is having some sort of mentor. This is something that has really skyrocketed my personal growth when I have started to work with Rain from Cocoon. And I think in this case, some sort of mentor that is not just interested of building a good business, but is also interested of this personal growth of as a human being, because I think you basically cannot separate those two things from each other. They overlap. If you're stuck personally, it's very hard for you to get forward as a company either. Then I think there's so many different books that I could recommend.
Which one highlights?
Yeah. I think when we talk about business growth, I think number one book is Challenger Sale. It goes to very practically how to work with customers. If I would ask a personal development book that I would recommend, I think here I don't dream. There is a lot of different good books that I've read, but I would say the biggest self-development, like growth that took for me was when I attended Anthony Robbins' seminars. I have also read his books, but I think seminars are better in his case. But when I joined those seminars when I was 20-something, this was really something that kicked off this enthusiasm for me to work with myself. Okay, I think if people are already further in the path and that you're already exploring yourself and things like that, but I want to highlight him because he was the one for me that gave this like really big kickstart that, hey, I'm really wanting to explore more of this.
Very well.
Yeah.
I know many people who are grateful for his work.
Yes, yes.
And at the same time, many people who are saying not nice things, but I'm more
Yes.
on the first front of grateful.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So touching the topic of purpose or mission, you came up with an idea to improve the recruitment area based on your own experience.
Yes.
So you started with a need rather than, okay, what's my next startup to earn piles of cash?
Yes.
So, and now several years later, you are in the recruitment business. What do you feel is it that you are doing for people?
I think that's a good question, and I actually have thought about it quite much. And if you think about people's lives, you basically 1/3 of your life you sleep, then 1/3 of your life is some sort of free time where you do everything else in life, and then 1/3 of your life you work, basically. So it's a big amount of time that we actually, about half of the time awake, a normal person spends on their work. And if we think about it from this perspective, there is so many people who don't like what they do. They hate their work or they have some sort of toxic environment where they don't feel well. And I think it's a huge opportunity to offer these people something better, something that would be more suitable for them. And one thing that I've noticed in this space is that the friction in changing process of jobs, the reason that you need to spend hours of filling a single job application and you need to spend hours of searching for a job and things like that, it just blocks people from taking this step.
Yeah.
They just get stuck in the works, like in a workplace that is not good for them. And in our case, what we want to deliver is an easy path. We don't promise that the next job that Jobilla offers is a perfect match for you, but at least we open you a window. We open a window to look. Could there be something else out there? And fortunately, we are that far in the journey that actually, for example, this year, this far, we have helped over 6,000 people to change their lives from a job they were necessarily not anymore happy to something that's hopefully better for them. That's many lives changed, and this makes me really happy.
So you really take care to know and to feel what are you doing for your clients, not on a functional level, but on life experience level.
Yes, yes. And I think this is something that we should do even more. But I think it's the most inspiring thing that we hear these stories from the actual candidates that lives have changed. For example, we have this one employee in Germany whose life partner was working in hotel industry.
Yeah.
And he was absolutely hating his job. And he was even like, it was creating challenge to their relationship because he came home always so angry and so frustrated. And then actually before this person even joined Jobilla, the partner had found job through Jobilla campaign and is now loving the job. It's actually now, and he has not just found a better job, he has become more happy human being and their relationship is better. So that kind of stories are the ones that really excite me. It's like, it creates this feeling that, yeah, we actually made a positive impact to this world.
So this means that recruiters who want to have people who are better aligned and feel better in their company can find such people through or with the support of Jobilla.
Yes, yes. And of course, in recruitment, there is responsibility in all the sectors of the process. So basically, if you think about recruiters, the very end game is then actually to be able to provide such a work environment that is actually better for the people. And this is something that we cannot influence, unfortunately. That would be amazing if we could change all the companies to be better workplaces, but we are not there at least yet. But like I said, we can at least open this window. And also, I think there are a lot of companies that, if you think about recruiting, it's more about like being a good fit for this particular person. It's not necessarily mean that the company that is a good fit for one person is a good fit for another person. But I think when the processes are very fast and very efficient, when it's easy to go and check and see if there would be something that would interest me, the odds that people would get actually to work to jobs that they love is much higher because you more easily check, hey, okay, would this company be good? Oh, not. Okay, not for me. Okay, what about the next one? Oh, this looks better. Yes. So, but like I said, I think the worst thing is that when people get really stuck into something that they have been doing it for 20 years, they absolutely hate to go to work every day, but people feel that it's just so much effort and they don't do the work to actually go to another job.
Yeah. Being mindful of time, also a few last questions.
Yes.
I want to end with what we started, but to continue on the thread of someone being unhappy in their job. So as I know from my experience being as a mentor, leading mentoring company, there are quite many CEOs who are unhappy in their job because it's like 4 years have passed or 5 years have passed, still no considerable traction in the company.
Yes.
You say that, hey, it will come after year number 8 or year number 7. So
hopefully.
Hopefully. But what else would you say to these CEOs where, okay, the person has almost reached the threshold of their patience in years?
Yes.
But it's still struggle, and the metrics not showing considerable growth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think actually when there is this talk about like, at least in Finland, there is this saying of entrepreneurial freedom.
Yeah.
I think it's basically the opposite. Being an entrepreneur it's just like, it's much like stronger cage than any traditional employment work. Basically, if you're employed somewhere, you can just one day you don't like, you can see a Jobilla campaign and in 5 minutes you can be in the next place. But when you're a founder and a CEO, you have invested so much of your time, you have made a lot of investors already involved that you're committed into, you maybe have your own money in the company and all of this. So you have a lot of skin in the game.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard to stop, even though you would feel already like really frustrated and bad and your passion is basically out. And I think also to this, finding a good mentor is really important because I think, mentor can maybe help to navigate the road out from the company if there is like, if it's no longer aligned with what you want in life. Or then maybe mentor can find out of how to find the passion again in the business. Because this is like something that I think it's really important to maybe go back a little bit in time and remind yourself why you started the business in the first place. What was the passion then, and try to go to the roots and do the same things. Because there is also, I don't know where this saying is from, but being a CEO is a very lonely job. Even though you're always surrounded by other people and you have your management teams and you have your boards and things like that. But at the end of the day, the responsibility is on you. You're very, very alone with the responsibility of when the hard day comes, your company is out of money and you need to take it out. It's your responsibility to somehow get the money to the company bank account and keep on going. So I can really relate to this, really like this feeling that you have been probably as a mentor, you have heard many times that CEOs are really, they have probably a lot of anxiety, what I have also had throughout this journey a lot. And it's always also, it's very hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, especially if the tunnel is very long, like you said. But I think if it's possible to just build this belief that I'm going to make it until the end. And this also comes down to a lot of this work with yourself. Do you really believe in that? So believe in the fact that you're going to win at the end is going to give much more strength to the journey also. That
just to put things in perspective, could you share what was your company's revenue like after 5 years of work, and what is it now, either in months or quarter or annual?
Approximately, if we look at after 5 years, we were at about 1 million a year.
Yes.
Ballpark, and now we are in about 1 million a month.
Yes.
Ballpark. So approximately the progress has been that high, that we are now doing the same amount of revenue a month that we used to do back then in a year.
So light in the end of the tunnel.
Yes. But yeah, the journey is not finished. It's still, we have exactly the same kind of troubles still today. We have a lot of challenges, and it feels today that we have the same amount of challenges that we had back then. So it's just like, I think very, very often there is this idea that comes that, hey, after I solve these challenges, then my life is going to be a little bit easier.
Yes.
But it's not.
Not.
As long as you're in this game, it's just gonna be different kind of challenges. Mark Zuckerberg probably in Facebook has like really, really tough challenges that he needs to solve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can end on this positively pessimistic note that the amount will not change, the magnitude of challenges changes. But,
yes, exactly.
And therefore the inner strength has to grow to
Exactly.
handle those bigger challenges.
Exactly. I think that is also, and also I think when the magnitude of challenges grow, but if your inner power grows more than the magnitude of the challenges, the feeling can get a little bit easier. That's what has happened to me, is that even though I think the magnitude of challenges have gone up, but I don't feel that intensely bad about the challenges anymore. So that is something that I can give a little bit light on the end of the tunnel. That
mental well-being has gotten better.
Yeah, mental well-being is now a lot better.
Yeah. Okay, Henri, thank you very much for the conversation.
Thank you, Farhad. Thank you.